taking action for you this morning on TV 20 Detroit starts right now.
Standing in Detroit in front of Baker's Keyboard Lounge, which is a historical venue. It is the world's oldest jazz club, but it's got a very interesting history. And the PULSEBEAT with Greg Dunmore show, we like to embrace the importance of history and the lessons that must be learned. On this day, we're also mourning as well as celebrating the fact that the late now great Reverend Jesse Jackson understood the importance of keeping hope alive, entrepreneurship, ownership, and the fact that we are somebody. So allow us now to pay tribute to the late great Reverend Jesse Jackson.
We must leave racial battleground and come to economic common ground and moral higher ground. America, our time has come. We've come from disgrace to amazing grace.
His passionate rhetoric defined Jesse Jackson's political campaigning. Running for president in 1984, he was the first black candidate to become a serious contender in a nationwide election.
Our time has come. Thank you and God bless you.
Watching Barack Obama win the presidency 24 years later, tears flowed down his face. His career had paved the way for this defining moment.
It's been a long time coming, but tonight, because of what we did on this day, change has come to America.
The son of a teenage single mother, Jackson grew up in the strictly racially segregated South.
There's a great swell of cheers.
Joining the civil rights movement in 1960, he grew close to Martin Luther King.
Because I have a dream.
He was with King in Memphis when he was assassinated in 1968.
When we respect each other, what time is it?
And then continued his crusade for equal rights.
When I am somebody, I may be on welfare, but I am somebody.
On the international stage, he campaigned for a Palestinian state, alienating American Jewish voters by using an anti-Semitic slur.
I raise the question, just what manner of man are you?
And spent decades fighting apartheid in South Africa, becoming close to Nelson Mandela.
And be the freest man in all of South Africa.
Monsieur Jesse Jackson.
As a respected political elder statesman, he was recognised around the world for his moral leadership and tireless campaigning. His legacy, though, is complicated by personal controversies, including an extramarital affair and crude criticism of Barack Obama, who he said was talking down to black people. But today, the former president posted, for more than 60 years, Reverend Jackson helped lead some of the most significant movements for change in human history. He was relentless in his belief that we are all children of God, deserving of dignity and respect. President Trump has posted saying Jesse Jackson was a good man with lots of personality, grit and street smarts. He was very gregarious, someone who truly loved people.
Reverend Jesse Jackson.
At the 2024 Democratic Convention, he was celebrated for his 6 decades of political activism and powerful, passionate oratory, which made him the defining civil rights figure of his generation.
I'm often asked, Jesse, why do you take on these tough issues? They're not very political. We can't win that way. If an issue is morally right, it will eventually be political. It may be political and never be right. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't have the most votes in Atlantic City, but her principles have outlasted every delegate who voted to lock her out. Rosa Parks did not have the most votes, but she was morally right. Dr. King didn't have the most votes about the Vietnam War, but he was morally right. If we're principle first, our politics will fall in place. Jesse, why do you take these big, bold initiatives? A poem by an unknown author went something like this: we've mastered the air, we've conquered the sea, annihilated distance and prolonged life, but we're not wise enough to live on this earth without war and without hate. As for Jesse Jackson, I'm tired of sailing my little boat far inside the harbor bar. I want to go out where the big ships float, out on the deep where the great ones are. And should my frail craft prove too slight, the waves that sweep those billows o'er, I'd rather go down in the stirring fight than drowse to death at the sheltered shore. We got to go out, my friends, where the big boats are.
If you like what we're doing, please tell a friend, or if you want to see what we've done again, go to PulsebeatGlobal.com. That's PulsebeatGlobal.com. You can also go to our PulseBeat TV YouTube channel and you can revisit what we're doing. And once again, you can tell everybody that we're doing something that is so exciting that they wouldn't want to miss it. Remember PulseBeatGlobal.com or the YouTube channel PulseBeat TV. Thanks for telling the world about us.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available.
A few days after Mrs. Parks had sat in, there was a mass meeting in Montgomery. Dr. King said, "We are here this morning for serious business. On so many occasions, Negroes have been intimidated and humiliated and oppressed because of the sheer fact that they were Negroes." He said, just the other day, just last Thursday to be exact, one of the finest citizens in Montgomery, not one of the finest Negro citizens, but one of the finest citizens in Montgomery, was taken from a bus and carried to jail and arrested because she refused to give up her seat to a white person. He then said, when the history books are written in the future, somebody will say there lived a race of people, a black people, a people who had the moral courage to stand up for their rights. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., December 1955. The 2005 Freedom Bound train is full of giants. John Johnson Publishing, who illuminated our way. Vivian Malone Jones, who opened up closed doors at the University of Alabama. C. Dolores Tucker, first African-American Secretary of State of Pennsylvania, a pace setter. Judge Constance Baker Motley, who allied with Thurgood Marshall to end and break the backbone of legal segregation. And now Rosa Parks, our morning star, the star that led us by night. When it's real dark, a little light will do you. If all of the lights in this room are out and it were pitch dark, one light would challenge all the darkness and give us hope and direction. For such an awesome force in history, we wrestle countless ways all day long today. How do we express ourselves? How do we give thanks to her meaning and to her impact? The question was once raised to Micah, how do you worship? Or do you give the Lord some fatted calves and rams and rivers of oil, meaningless sacrifices? The answer was, oh man, you know what is good. You know what really matters to God. not your trinkets, your gold watches, your diamond rings, your furs, your exquisite looking funny little cars. What really matters to God? Not the playpen called your house, your toy. What really matters to God? Not your neighbor, your friends, your social crowd, but rather that you just cut it out and do justice. We don't know what house she lived in, what kind of sheets was on the bed, what kind of silverware in the china closet, because none of that really matters.
That's right, Reverend.
Dr. King, Dr. Mays, Dr. Howard Thurman didn't wear jewelry. No slick, quick preachers. No prosperity gospel. No fleeting faith-based preaching, but rather love-based. Beyond faith and hope is a more obligating love-based preaching.
Come on, Reverend.
You can have faith by yourself, you can't love by yourself. And so, Rosa Parks, Martin King, you do justice and love mercy and walk humbly before God. Perhaps for Sister Parks, what we ought to do, and Congressman Jackson has a bill. We put in the Great Hall of Congress a life-size statue of Rosa Parks. If John Calhoun can be there, and General Robert E. Lee, and Jefferson Davis, men who engaged in sedition, secession, slavery, segregation, and treason. Just maybe we need a guardian angel to watch over them in the halls of Congress.
A bronze statue of Parks was unveiled in the U.S. Capitol Statuary Hall today, a short distance from the rotunda, where she became the first woman and only second African American to lie in repose after she died in 2005.
We'll be right back as we celebrate the life of the now late, great Reverend Jesse Jackson.
All aboard!
There's a new way to travel, and it's one of the oldest forms of transportation. Travel by train. Yes, consider traveling around the United States on Amtrak. Traveling by train is a lot less of a headache than taking a plane, and you'd be surprised how many places you can go on an Amtrak. And there's no passports or IDs needed. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now. We'll book your trip and email your tickets within minutes. Skip the drive to the airport and skip the lines. Call right now to book your Amtrak reservations. We service most of the United States. Do something new. Travel by Amtrak today. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now.
Call 855-827-5004. That's 855-827-5004. Again, 855-827-5004.
On this day, we're also mourning as well as celebrating the fact that the late now great Reverend Jesse Jackson understood the importance of keeping hope alive, entrepreneurship, ownership, and the fact that we are somebody.
I was called last week to
See Aretha, I've met with her at least a month for the last 3 years. She called late at night, Jackie would say, get the phones, Aretha's on the phones. We're talking 2 to 5. We'd pray a while and cry a while. When I came last Wednesday, Aretha was in a coma and had not been able to wake up or move in some days. And I was with Earlene, and I said, Reed, wake up, baby, wake up, baby. She opened her eyes. I rubbed the warmth of her hand one more time, kissed her on the forehead and said, it was a hard goodbye. We came back that night with Sabrina and had another prayer meeting with her. Her father's records were playing in the background. Aretha had the power to make the film directors cry. She touched all of us in a very deep and profound kind of way. As she got sicker, we would talk more and more. She would call late at night. A few months ago, Aretha was very afraid for me when it announced that I had Parkinson's. The older you get, these diseases, they come out of nowhere, it seems. But let me say to you today, who are the living, this is not for Aretha, this is for us. If you leave here today and don't register to vote, you'll be dishonored, Aretha. If you heard all this singing and don't feel something wrong with you. I can only say now, when we met, we were maybe 15 years old. I'm now 77. I'll be 78 in a few weeks. Parkinson's is in trouble. I have the faith. The doctor said Parkinson's will knock you down. It will, but there's a God. Do the doctor of doctors. Don't fear these diseases when you're getting ready to change your clothes and move into a different transition. I can say now with a level of certainty I couldn't have years ago. I once was young. I've traveled to China, I've traveled to Japan, I've traveled to the Caribbean, all around the world. Worked with Dr. King, worked with Mandela. I've seen a lot and been a lot of places, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor the seed beg for bread. So sleep on, Aretha. See you in the morning.
Detroit has been at the bedrock of so much of black activism. The resources that came out of Detroit to fuel and fund Reverend Martin Luther King, the resources that came out to being part of so much of civil rights. Mrs. Aretha Franklin did a marvelous job touching so many people, and so many people in the black business community have been so resourced, and they've shared that extensively nationwide. So if you were to go back in time, Detroit is ground zero. What is a dream that you know is possible, not impossible, but the possible dream?
Well, I would say that a possible dream is for us to suspend our first judgment of people, take a breath before we act or react, and do our best to engage in inquiry and lean into listening, to have a deeper understanding of others, even if you disagree. It's an opportunity for us to more deeply keep asking questions around the issue or around the concern so that we understand the perspectives and points of view. It's very, very important that we find a way to build a better America, build a better world by coming together in conversation and deeper understanding and not in hatred and division.
When Dr. King died, was killed in '68, he was talking to Jesse Jackson and Ben Branch over the rail at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. And Reverend Jackson was literally one of the two last people to speak to him. I always wondered how much trauma that must have been for him to witness Reverend King's assassination. He never would talk about it too much, but it drove him. He kept saying, we got to keep Dr. King's dream alive. He was 12 years younger than King, as I was 13 years younger than him, and he would always challenge me that your generation's got to do what John Lewis and all of us that were younger than Dr. King did. He kept the movement going by keeping the economic boycotts of Operation Breadbasket going, by dealing with diversity, by fighting for affirmative action. You must remember when the late 70s and 80s, when Reaganism rose and there was this backlash on civil rights, Jesse Jackson took the front with John Lewis and others to restore what Dr. King had done. We romanticized the 60s like they were never challenged. They were challenged. We had to renew the Voting Rights Act every 5 years. We had to deal with state laws. And it was Reverend Jackson that did that into our era of having to deal with racial profiling and driving while black and all. We learned all that from him. It was in 1984, when he ran for president, that he changed the rules that primaries were governed by, where in pre-Jackson, if you ran in New York, for example, and you got 104 delegates and your opponent got 100 delegates, your opponent got all 204 delegates. It was Jesse that made it be, no, you get your 100, they get 104. With him changing it to proportional delegate representation is how Barack Obama was made the nominee. Hillary Clinton won more big states, but he was able to accumulate more delegate votes. So he literally changed the party in '84.
But tonight,
everyone is looking magnificent once again. Thank you so much for being part of this celebration. And
my mother, pianist and singer Jo Thompson, performed in this club decades ago, and she's in heaven above right now with Reverend Jesse Jackson. And when she performed in this club, they didn't welcome black people. Now, performers, yes, but they did not welcome black people in this club. Now, that's a fact. And this neighborhood also did not welcome black people. Now, know the history, and also know that Detroit had slavery as well. Be very clear on that. Now, today, Baker's the oldest still operating jazz club that never missed a beat, is owned by black people. The hope and the I am somebody theme that Reverend Jesse Jackson advocated so beautifully, and you knew him as a native of Chicago. Your thoughts on now the late great Jesse Jackson and how that ties into what you're doing as a businesswoman?
It's amazing. My heart is heavy today hearing that the late Jesse Jackson is no longer with us, but I know what he stood for, we still have inside of us. Knowing him in Chicago was something. I don't know if you know this, but my sister owned a legacy restaurant in Chicago called Army and Lou's. Army and Lou's was one of the baddest soul food restaurants on the south side of Chicago. And Jesse used to have court there. He would set up every week. He'd have about 5 or 6 people he was meeting with. My sister knew his seat that he wanted, and we knew exactly what he wanted to eat. He was just a very personal person, always embracing our family as well as the community. And I'm gonna tell you, he made some real strides, not only in Chicago, but in the world.
Pat Flowers, the piano player, the musician. So that's the first entrance of a black person into this club, playing piano in a sandwich shop, which metamorphoses into what you know today as Baker's Keyboard Lounge.
And so when we talk about now Jesse Jackson and what he symbolizes, he was an advocate of black ownership, black opportunity. So you're really symbolizing what his mission was, his ministry. So can you speak to that, from now a club during the times that did not welcome black people to now being owned by black people, and something about the now late great Reverend Jesse Jackson?
Well, the spirit of Reverend Jesse Jackson, as the Bible says, those that are last shall be first. And that is so intuitive to this situation, because at once we weren't allowed in this club, and now through the civil rights movement, through people like Jesse Jackson and others, it has come full circle that now me and my partner has purchased this club, and now we incorporate not only just ourselves as owners, we have black waitstaff, we have black patrons, black customers. So again, it's come full circle with the help of people like Jesse Jackson and others.
As far as bakers and Jesse goes, when I was a youngster, my parents would come to Baker's. There was a period where they would have to go next door in order to enjoy the entertainment. But from what I know, from the people that would come here that were black folks, the musicians that they would come to see challenged Clarence Baker and made him open the doors to our people being able to come here. And that was a direct result of the civil rights movement, things that were going on. And Jesse was there from a very young man, challenging all those things that kept us in a lower class, a lower status, and making sure everyone understood in this world that we were people of choice, that we were proud, that we were first and foremost in this country.
To have in the house the promoters of that.
And without his leadership and his efforts of what he put in for this just generation, then it wouldn't be possible, I don't think, for me as a African-American entrepreneur, especially in the city of Detroit, to do the things and obtain the things that I've been privileged to do. So I personally had a couple opportunities to meet Reverend Jackson, and he imparted some things to me that I hold, that I was just honored to have those moments with him. And I just want to make sure that we pay our respects on behalf of the station to Reverend Jackson, and send our condolences to his family, and just make sure that we celebrate him with the reverence and the respect that he deserves.
Well, he was a great, great man, a civil rights activist who I remember as an aide to Reverend Martin Luther King, but he became a civil rights leader himself. One of the main things that I loved about him was that he felt people should be dignified. He believed in the dignity of people and the worth of people. That's why he would say, I am somebody.
He will be sadly missed. I adored him, and we need more people like him building up the black community. I'm going to miss Jesse Jackson, and I hope everybody that touched and met him, was able to meet him in person, took something from him to be able to move on in the path that he was on, to develop our community and keep it moving forward with graciousness and greatness.
And you are the hope that Jesse Jackson, he had a mantra, keep hope alive, and you symbolize that hope as a black businesswoman.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on Jesse Jackson. I appreciate it.
I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected.